The following is brought to you in part by a grant from the Foundation for White Wellbeing.
Cause we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Oh yeah, we want retribution. Yeah, we ran out of patience. Boil up with a cold hard hatred.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intent can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing, won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless. I can see that they compare. I think everyone's against me, maybe something in the air. Am I paranoid? I swear a void is forming and they're scared. I walk a straight path, not many can say that. I like to play fast, cross me and there's payback. You better pray that I don't see your face at any place that I go. I know you hate that. I've been doing fine, I'm not wasting any more time. I live for the fight and the climb, and I think that the pain that's deep inside is what defines. So I won't give up, I'm gonna make it to the top. I don't care what's in my way, I swear I'm never gonna stop. I could fall flat on my face and I swear I will get back up, cause I don't deserve a thing and the road ahead is tough. They'll try to kick you while you're down, they wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt, they're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing, won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless.
When there's nothing left but the fire in my chest and the air that fills my lungs, I'll hold my tears and trade my ears for a glimpse at kingdom come. On the other side of misery, there's a world we long to see. The strife we share will take us there to relief and sovereignty. Oh, by God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. In our own towns, we're foreigners now. Our names are spat and cursed. The headline smack of another attack, not the last and not the worst. Oh, my fathers, they look down on me. I wonder what they feel to see their noble sons driven down beneath a coward's heel. Oh, my God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. The road is dark, the way is lost. My eyes, they strain to see. I struggle forth to find a friend to light the way for me. Oh, brothers, can you hear my voice, or am I all alone? If there's no fire to guide my way, then I will start my own. Oh, my God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. Oh, by God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home.
We absolutely will, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have an extremely truncated show today because I have an emergency that I have to attend to. But we will be together briefly. I do want to show you a little clip from the great Traficant talking about AIPAC. He started talking about AIPAC when he entered Congress back in 1985. Everybody is interested in that at the moment. But I'm going to have a bit of, like I said, a truncated show today, but we'll be back later in the week. I do have this, though. An old man was stumbling through the woods, totally drunk, when he came upon a preacher baptizing people in the river. The old drunk walked right into the water and bumped into the preacher. The preacher turned around and was almost overcome by the smell of alcohol, whereupon he asked the drunk, "Are you ready to find Jesus?" The drunk shouted, "Yes, I am." The preacher's large congregation, standing on the bank of the river, cheered and some wept. So the preacher grabbed him and dunked him in the cold water. He pulled the drunk up and asked him, "Brother, have you found Jesus?" The drunk replied, "No," wiping his eyes and standing uncertainly on the river's slick bottom. Whispers ran through the preacher's congregation. Shocked by the drunk's answer, the preacher dunked him again, and this time held him under a little longer. He pulled him out of the water and asked again, "Have you found Jesus, my brother?" Again, this time clearly crying, the drunk answered, "No, I haven't found Jesus." The preacher's congregation became clearly dismayed, gawking at the preacher as if he had lost his touch. At his wits' end, the preacher dunked the drunk a third time, but this time he held him under until the drunk began struggling, kicking and waving his arms around frantically. Having pulled him up, the preacher sternly asked again, "For the love of God, son, have you found Jesus?" The drunk coughed water from his lungs, wiped his eyes, and said, "Are you sure this is where he fell in?" Yes. Did he fall in there or not, ladies and gentlemen? Like I said, apologies, truncated gathering today, but at least we're getting together for a moment. A lot of people are talking together, talking about recently Donald Trump, and was going to go over that today if there had been some time. There doesn't seem to be enough at the moment. We have a lot of, I guess I'll maybe make the point when I come back later in the week, that there are a lot of these multiracial, Jew-hating individuals who are, Fuentes, the leader of them, who are hating on Trump, and they have been for weeks now, and Trump could not be doing better than he is. He just had a rally in Las Vegas, 103 or 5 degree weather. Many thousands upon thousands showed up to watch him speak, impromptu, and there were some really marvelous takes from that. Maybe we'll be able to share that later in the week as well. But we have here an interesting thing about this, and this is what I talk about quite often, is the phenomenon of how this, we just see with each generation, the same behavior recurring, the same things where it's people saying, "Oh, I've just discovered, and this person has shown the way to," for example, in this case, the hatred of all Jewish people on the basis of their birth. And this being the largest impediment to white positive people being able to advance a white positive message about ending our victimization. And the reality, of course, is that this sort of talk and this sort of focus on like AIPAC is nothing new. There have been congressmen in the United States ever since AIPAC's creation, I believe it was in like 1963, that have been speaking out against AIPAC. And Traficant is one of those individuals. Not only was Donald Trump recently railroaded and had the judicial system weaponized against him for political objectives, but Traficant had the exact same thing, railroaded, and he entered, as I said in the intro there, he entered Congress in 1985, and a really beloved character, and stood up against AIPAC and the IRS. And he ended up being railroaded. They told him, hey, if you just say you're guilty, you won't have to go to prison. You won't have the big fine. And but he knew that he hadn't done, or at least he claimed that he hadn't done the things that he was being railroaded for. And so he wanted to fight it. He ended up going to jail for like 7 years, during which time he was almost reelected without even running. But he did an interview with Hannity back in 2009, I think it was. We'll pull the screen up and we'll see exactly what it says in 1 second. Here we go. And it's over AIPAC. So we've had a lot of talk about Massie, and I really want you to think, what I really want to drive home is that none of this Jew hatred, none of this, and particularly in the place of, or as the essence of, the work of white well-being, and which it's never been, is ever new. It's not new. It's been happening for generations. Fuentes and his boy Groypers and the multiracial Jew-hating movement haven't pushed this into the conversation. They haven't made this something prominent and profound and life-changing or nation-changing. James Traficant was saying, Jim, I think it was Jim, might be James. I guess he went by Jim. He was saying that America first, and he's a friend of Israel, but we can't have AIPAC controlling the federal government of the United States, saying that all the way back since he got in Congress. We're talking about almost 40 years ago. Fuentes wasn't even alive. So many of these other folks weren't even alive or around. So let's just have a quick look at a conversation. And as I point out, all of this credit that is claimed by Fuentes and so many of these others who are saying they've pushed it into the public dialogue. Nobody has ever introduced this information before. All the credit they claimed for Trump's success, they now, from the past, they now have been against him for weeks, saying that the fire's gone, the memes are fake, there's no energy. So, and thereby demonstrating that they have positively influenced Trump and his campaign zero. They had nothing to do with the success in 2016 whatsoever. And they have, and the great demonstration of it right now is that Trump is skyrocketing everywhere he goes, and the successes are mounting upon successes against all of the opposition by these multiracial Jew haters. So let's have a look at this interview. This was all the way back in 2009, but it's a brand new conversation that's taking place about AIPAC.
Congressman, you said something in an interview with our own Greta Van Susteren. You and I got into this on my radio show, and I am shocked, frankly disappointed, and these remarks sound like the conspiratorial, anti-Semitic remarks of people that we have heard from over the years. And what you said was, quote, talking about Israel and quote, Jewish people. They're controlling much of our foreign policy. They're influencing much of our domestic policy. What do you mean by that? Because that sounds to me like a bizarre conspiracy theory. Why would you say something like that when it's just, first of all, patently untrue?
Number one, I served in Congress for 17 years. I've seen members question bills.
Let me point out, too, that Traficant was wildly popular, right? He wasn't like some crank congressman that nobody knew who he was, and he was just out in the backwaters somewhere. It's not like, I mean, that's like what Massie is. That's what these people are today. Traficant, everyone knew, he was a Democrat, but Republicans and Democrats both enjoyed and loved this guy. Very popular, very well known.
Bills and votes on how does Israel feel about this? I must have heard that every time there were bills and votes. 10 years.
Listen to what he just said. Is the conversation new?
I've seen members question bills and votes on how does Israel feel about this. I must have heard that every time there was a significant vote. Here's what I'm saying. I'm not an enemy of Israel. America supports Israel, and we should. They're a free nation. They're our friends amidst a cluster of dictators and monarchs. So certainly I support Israel. But Israel, through its lobby, has manifested so much power over the United States Congress that we're embroiled in wars that I don't believe we should be. Our kids are coming back in body bags.
Does this sound, I mean, I really want you to focus on the reality here of this, like, it's like the Matrix. It's like it just keeps recurring. And each generation, and this is what drives me insane, each generation that comes along, they claim that they're the first ones to discover, and they are, they now have the truth, and they now have the evidence, and now they're the ones who are pushing it finally into the public conversation. Just like I pointed out with that website by Frank Weltner called Jew Watch, that was #1 on the Google search engine for years and years and years. #1 hit if you typed in anything about Jews or Jewish people.
And in the long run, this Israeli lobby is going to hurt Israel. So as soon as you mention Israel.
And why is this important? Because Jew hating is not white loving. Ending our victimization has nothing to do with harming Jews or criticizing Jews or disempowering Jews. And these multiracial Jew-hating bastards are the primary suppressor of white well-being, because they hoover up and run off the people who come into white sympathy looking for answers for what's going on to the white race, Western kind, Western civilization. So it's critically important. And they continue today on the internet now to just hoover in everybody. We try to talk. We're the only people having success for white well-being. And people show up, and instead of being directed to us to make a positive change in their lives and the lives of their families, their communities, and our people, therefore Western civilization, they're immediately told, well, if you want to know what's going on, if you want to know how to better the lives of white people, then you have to hate Jews. It's all new. It's all brand new. It's all being revealed now, how much they control. Really? Is it all being revealed now? De Fuentes, he's done it for everybody, right? If you're following, if you are an acolyte of Fuentes, if you're like you like this guy, get out of this community. Get out. He doesn't do anything. He's the exact opposite of something positive for white well-being. This kind of shit of just pointing out the Jews and the power that they wield and everything, generation after generation after generation.
Someone claims you're an anti-Semite. The truth of the matter is, I'm pro-American, Sean, and I don't know. I don't like.
There you have Traficant, who for 40 years was saying he's pro-American, he's America first, as his defense against the criticism of Israel and AIPAC.
Hear me. Hear me.
Listening.
I don't like what's happening in America today.
All right, that's fair.
Our kids are coming back in body bags.
Wait a minute, but you're saying
we're bankrupt, completely broke.
But you're suggesting here that we're fighting wars on behalf of Israel. But you just mentioned the 9/11 attacks.
I think a lot of that has been influenced by
Hear me now,
Israel.
Congressman. We're not fighting the war. We didn't fight the war in Iraq. We're not fighting in Afghanistan for Israel. We're fighting because this country was attacked, because the 9/11 Commission report said there's a group of enemies against us that are fighting a war against us, and we're not at war with them. So we're fighting them because they killed 3,000 plus Americans. That's why we're fighting. It has nothing to do with Israel.
All right, let me read.
You can see how far back from the very beginning of Hannity's career, how much of a sycophantic dog he has been for the Israelis and the Israeli supporters across the West.
Respond to that. We're in a situation where the commission come out and they discuss the attack on America. There's no doubt about it. But our policies in the Mideast have been so one-sided and subjective. Without objectivity, we've created so many enemies. The only way they can strike back is we've imported the terrorists from those actions.
Wait a minute.
So if you question it, you're saying you're an anti-Semite.
That's not
Are those the exact same conversations had today? Therefore, are those is that the route to go to end the victimization of Western kind and to recapture our destiny?
Well, you said they're controlling our foreign policy. They're controlling our domestic policy.
Yes, and I believe they are.
Hear me now.
I believe they control the Senate and the House Foreign Affairs Committee.
That's insane.
And they're controlling our foreign policy.
Congressman,
He's outright saying, this beloved congressman, Israel outright controls America's foreign policy. They control the government. Is that new then?
that's conspiratorial nutjob stuff.
No,
Listen,
And that's prime time. And he was on Hannity's radio program regularly. Traficant.
Conspiracy.
Are we supposed to be friends with Syria? Are we supposed to be friends with Iran? Were we supposed to be friends with Saddam Hussein, Hezbollah, Hamas?
Hold it, John.
Well, you said we're not.
John,
we're only
I know
friends
you
with
need
Israel.
ratings. I know you need ratings, but just hold it.
I have ratings.
I'm not saying we should be friends over there with anybody. I'm saying we should be objective. We have developed serious enemies from a one-sided policy. And yes, I believe Israel, through their lobby, has manifested total power of the Congress of the United States.
Power.
And my concern is the taxpayers and the citizens of the United States should control their government, not a foreign entity.
To suggest
Is that a new argument? I mean, I don't know how many times I want to drive the point home.
as you're doing here tonight, that they control our Congress, that, quote, they are influencing and the sole control of influencing of our domestic policy is an absurdity. It sounds like you are a kook.
Sean, I'm not suggesting it. I'm telling it. Yes, I believe they manifest a great power over America. Let me also say, in the last 4 years, there are 2 separate incidents of AIPAC spying on America. We even conducted a search warrant on AIPAC headquarters. Now, I don't like what's going on here. All I'm telling you is I'm concerned about America. You and I might disagree. I'm not an anti-Semite. I'm not against Israel. And if Israel's attacked, I'm the first one to want to support them. But what I'm saying to you is this power that's being manifest on our Congress is going to backfire and is going to end up in the long run hurting Israel, because the American people are getting about fed up with this government.
One last shot.
Okay. Oh, that was, and this is what, 2009. He was making the arguments since he got in Congress in 1985. Yeah, he was railroaded for what good did it do? He ended up getting railroaded through the courts, served 7 years in prison, and then died under his tractor once he got out of jail. And he was continuing to have these sorts of interviews. He's out of Congress, and he did a 7-year stint, and he was continuing to talk like this, beloved, as I said, on both sides of the political aisle. So sort of like a Trump figure back then.
Will you back down from, quote, they are controlling much, meaning the Israelis, they are controlling much of our foreign policy. Will you back off that statement?
No, I don't.
All right, then we disagree. Congressman, thanks for being with us.
Good to be on your show.
All right. That's that. Really want to, like I said, I'm not going to be able to stay much longer than this, but I really wanted to, in this pithy Sunday going free, I really wanted to show up anyhow, and even though I've got to take off for this thing that I have to attend to, but I really wanted to come in and, in this very pithy way, drive home the point about the multiracial Jew-hating movement that has undermined the efforts of white people to arrest our victimization for many generations, many generations. People, good white people, bad white people, otherwise white people, question what's going on in the world. They get angry about our victimization. They get angry about the persecution and exploitation of our people. They lose their minds over the anti-white narrative telling them that they are the ones who, as white people, who will benefit from everything. And they have to pay this recompense throughout the totality of their lives, while in their actual lived experience, they're discriminated against, they're persecuted, they're undermined. They are sick of it. They come into the white sympathetic sphere. I've seen it an infinite number of times. It feels like the same story repeat. And they are confronted by people who say, we've now figured it out. We now have the truth. We now know what the problem is. And then they follow that up with, the Jews are responsible for everything. And so what you have to do is you have to then go out into the world. And this claim about, quote, it's the Jews, appeals to the selfish individualism of white people. And so they are already want to head in the direction of just whatever is vexing me as an individual, make it go away. And then I'm fine. And so they complain about social problems, peoplehood problems, the same way they complain about individual problems, because they have no people. It's just, they're not complaining about what's happening to us. They're complaining about what's happening to them. So these folks show up and they tell them, you have to hate these people. You have to go far and wide and speak endlessly about them. And if you don't, then we're going to attack you. We're going to malign you. We're going to slander you. Well, people show up, white people show up, and they hear that, and the vast majority of them hear that Jews are evil on the basis of their birth, and they're like, screw this. I'd rather just go and keep white flighting and living my life to get away from this immorality. And they leave. They leave with their connections, their intelligence, their creativity, their industry. They leave. The best white people leave. And then the remainder, if they don't toe the line about it's just all the Jews and just blame the Jews and talk endlessly about the Jews, and now we're on the verge of really making it into the public conversation with it. Now we're really on the verge, and every generation or so, there's a new poobah who is this guy is really going to push it through, and it's already been pushed through. It's already been in the public conversation. It's already been out there that AIPAC has existed since 63 or whatever it is, 1963. And people have been complaining about it since then. And people have been talking about Jewish people holding power for generation upon generation. And look at where we've gone from 1985. Look at what the country was like in 85. How about 65 when AIPAC got started? Look at where the country was. And then know that the Jew haters, the multiracial Jew hate, and I don't give a shit. I'm not talking, Jews obviously don't need me to defend them. I care about white people. I care about us not being able to productively, intelligently, morally develop a people out of our deracinated race and then collectively bring an end to our victimization. That's what I care about. And I can look out and I can see what's been undermining us all along for generations. So when they say we see Donald Trump going to the moon in popularity, they're all hating him right now. They're all hating on him right now because why? He's said a couple positive things about Israel. No shit. Half his children or whatever are married to Jewish people. So no shit. Jews are giving him hundreds of millions of dollars. No shit. He's going to say positive things. So they are all hating him. And yet his popularity with regular white people is going to the moon and beyond. So these people, they contribute nothing. All they do is undermine and dampen and retard efforts to arrest our victimization. Despicable. And moreover, the conversation about AIPAC was public primetime television by beloved people. Traficant was beloved. I remember watching him when I was young. Everyone loved this guy. He was going on and he was talking about it, and he was obviously, you could see he was doing it in a moral way. He wasn't even going out there saying that Jews had to be divested of power, they couldn't hold office in America or the West or any of that stuff. He was talking about it, but he was outright saying that AIPAC exercised a total control. So Massie comes out and Massie says, well, everybody has a friend, an AIPAC guy or whatever, and the internet's abuzz, like some big fucking secret has been finally shared. Get real, folks, or the reclamation of our destiny will never be had. Overcome these people, reject these people, destroy the multiracial Jew-hating movement if you want to save the white race. I love you all. Go free.